Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another edition of The Gray Area here on the Black Man Unfiltered Network, simulcasting on the Sparta HQ Network. I'm Mr. Bennett, joined by my partner, as always,
This is Sparta!
the Ghost of Sparta, a.k.a. Peter, a.k.a. Panayotis. Yasu, my brother, what is going on?
What is going on, my man? Didn't I see you yesterday?
I think so. Yeah, you look very familiar. Like we just ran into each other. But we were certainly blessed to have another occasion where certainly me and Pete were able to meet face to face. And not only that, we were certainly joined by another couple, certainly Michelle and King from the King and Me show. Certainly we recommend that you guys check those guys out. Go to their YouTube channel. They have an very engaging show that deals with relationships, a lot of personal details about their personal relationship and how they navigate. So yesterday certainly gave us an opportunity to bond and to really break bread with them and just get more into their world. They learned a lot about us, and myself and my wife. And so it was just a good time for fellowship and really just having connection. So, certainly looking forward to maybe even future content, between us and whatnot. So, really a good opportunity to meet them and learn about them. And they were just like on their show. What you see on their show is what you see in person. It's no different. They're totally transparent with their life experiences and whatnot. So, really had a good time certainly with them, and so it was great. Your thoughts, Pete?
Yeah, I can personally speak from personal experience. I know King for about 5 years now, I want to say. Over the time, King became one of my best friends, including yourself, Paul. So I had the privilege of hanging out with Michelle. This is my second time hanging out with her, and I gotta say, she's a wonderful woman overall for him. And King, if you listen to this, don't fuck it up. But seriously, they're like she said it. They're like water and oil, the yin and yang, fed up with mozzarella cheese, whatever you want to call it. You know what I'm saying? So they make it work, and I believe opposites do attract because they're the opposite of normal. Let's be honest here. She's very religious. He's anti-religious.
Well, see, that to me, that's a gray area, you know what I mean? Because just the way she talked. Well, first and foremost, before we kind of get into it, ladies and gentlemen, tonight is our call-in show. All right. So again, if you guys want to join the conversation, we've had, certainly over the last few weeks, and we've had interviews with former military veterans who, military veterans who, turned to comedy. Certainly diversify themselves in different fields. So we've had those. We've dealt with specific topics. We've talked about energy. We've talked about just war theory. So that was an engaging show. I know Mandrell, when he was with us, he had some questions there and whatnot. He was looking to get on that night or whatever. But again, once a month we should. So really, where we're going with the show, our desire is at least once a month we'll have at least one interview with a guest. And then also part of the month, we'll have a call-in. So we don't want to get subject so far, it's something we talked about 3-4 months ago, and then trying to bring it up again, it kind of loses some of the energy. So we want to have a space for people to come up and engage with us. If you had questions from the last show, if you had some comments from what we talked about in the last show, whether it be just war theory or energy or, any of those topics that we've covered in the last few weeks, you can certainly rehash those. Hopefully they'll still be fresh, and that you still hold on to your questions. So that's really the format of where we're kind of going with the show, and we'd like to keep that energy up. But if you just want to join us just to say hi to us, so I dropped the link in the chat. You can certainly come in. Now again, rules of the show typically, unless for certain people who we know, again, usually cam up. We got to be able to see you first and whatnot beforehand. But if we don't know you offhand, we may not let you up. And as always with the show, again, this is about respect. It's about having fostering understanding and just having a good time. So again, we're gonna just wing it, kind of talk about, like I said, meeting up with Michelle and King. But certainly anything you guys want to talk about and discuss, again, we're open to the dialogue and the conversation. So the link is in the chat, and you can certainly join us for as long as you want to. You don't have to stay for the whole show. If you just want to do a quick bounce, say hi, what's up with you guys and whatnot, appreciate what you're doing, that's perfectly fine with us as well. But yeah, I mean, it's you talk about he's not very religious. But just the way she talks about him and just the way he carries himself, I don't know if I believe that. You know what I mean? I think that religion sometimes is a sort of thing. It's one thing is about what you do and what you practice, and another thing about, again, what you believe and how you carry yourself.
Mhm.
It could be about how you dress or how how you're taught certain things, but I think you can still be highly spiritual. I think true religion, in my view, informs and improves your humanity as a person. So just the way you talked about the way she was talking about him last night, you can certainly see that there is aspects that, again, you wouldn't expect necessarily for someone who was like an agnostic or what have you. Not only is he supportive of in terms of not dogging her for the religion that she practices, he encourages it in a lot of different ways.
He's
And
very respectful of that. I would say that because
that's rare.
I've been on other panels with him, non Spartan Arenas, Spartan Institute Network or BMU Network or the Real Pressure. So we were on on a Monday night when she was doing it, and I made a comment once, and he cut me off. He goes, "I know you don't believe in religion." Whoa. He goes, "I never said I don't respect religion. I personally don't believe it because the way he was raised, it was kind of bashed in his face over the years, I want to say."
Well, yeah, and they talked about that because and this is something I learned about Michelle as well, that she's I don't know if it's even fair to call her religious per se. I mean, I think the way she approaches her faith is kind of similar to mine. Like, I don't get into the ether with it. I don't get into the esoteric. I think certainly the way I interpret things is very earthy. It's very down to, again, how you treat people. And I think the way she embraces it is the same way. Now, from what you were saying, where King comes from, his father, very kind of that Pentecostal kind of, it's a different expression. And I can certainly understand people not necessarily wanting to vibe with that aspect of it. So again, I think that there's enough gray area between them where they probably agree more on certain things, especially when it comes to morality, than not. And I think that is in part where it works. So when you say, yes, opposites attract, but I think there's enough gray area between them that allows them to continue to grow together and be as a couple. So, but again, like I said, very transparent. What you see on what we saw live is what you're going to see in person. But still, I want to go give shout outs to the folks who joined the show. My man Anton, certainly in the building. Really appreciate that. Yes, and we love the AI. So again, the use of AI in order to create these thumbnails was hilarious. So definitely be able to take that. The one that you did on the Just War Theory, I looked like a beast. I had the gun, the warrior, the armor on and whatnot. I mean, you had me looking kind of jacked there, a lot more than what I already am. So yeah,
the only thing I'm going to say to BMU, do me a favor, email me that thumbnail so I can have it for next time.
So that was pretty good. But my man Anton in the building, appreciate you being here tonight. My man Eric is certainly in the building tonight. Appreciate you being here. And as always, Marianne Constantine, always good having you on board as well. We missed you. I think I don't think we saw her last week. I think we missed her.
Yeah, Tuesday she took off. But
Yeah.
Anton, I did receive your email. I will be emailing you the next day or so. So just be patient. I'll get back to you.
Yeah,
buddy.
and we definitely want to have Anton on. Certainly bring him in for an interview gig. We certainly love to.
JT also.
I was about to say JT as well. So again, we'd love to have you guys on as far as future interview spots, certainly on the Gray Area Show. So definitely looking forward to those exchanges down the line. But I just really love it when because again, a lot of it's people talk a lot about social media and whatnot, but it's really cool about the spaces again when you're able to meet through these virtual platforms, but then you're able to meet people in person, which is, to me, I think that kind of work. If you want to talk about relationships, and again, this is where you and I may disagree a little bit. I know you're not as a big fan of online dating and things of that nature, but all I look at
I have
that
bad experience with it. That's why.
That, and just like you can have a bad experience meeting someone one-on-one as well. My thing is, all it does is it just opens up the field. It just gives you more opportunities. But I've always said you still got to do the work when it comes to meeting someone, being in their orbit, seeing how the vibe is, just how your pheromones are. I mean, that work has to continue. All it is just a access point. So I remember, like, if you worked in sales, a lot of times they would literally just give you a phone book, like the white pages in the phone book, and you had to basically start just calling numbers on random, just in the phone book, just to try to get hits and whatnot. The way I look at it with this social media sites or the dating sites, it's the same thing. Now, I know there's a lot of swipe left, a lot of swipe right. I know there's a lot of hookup culture and things of that nature. But again, if there's certain things that you want, if you're talking about monogamous relationship, if those are what you're seeking and whatnot, certainly I think all these type of tools, whether it be networking, meeting someone in person, getting introduced to somebody. I mean, to me, all of those, when I was dating, all of those things were on the table. It's just like I said, I just so happened to get into it before the age of social media. I mean, internet was just 1996. Things were just starting to pop off. My man Anton said, he said, I don't know what a phone book is. Yeah. I don't even know if they know what a phone is. In fact, I was just looking for my red phone, the phone that you had to pick up with the dial, and you kind of held it to your head like this. So I don't know if they know what that looks like either. But I mean, if you did any kind of sales or whatnot, you always got these leads or these lead sheets or like I said, books of contacts, and you just had to go through one by one, calling until you got hits. I mean, in sales, if you get 2 out of 10 in sales, that's good. But for a lot of people, it's like, okay, yeah, I went on 2 or 3 bad dates or whatever. And then you just want to condemn the entire sex of people. Oh, there's no good women out there. There's no good men out there and whatnot. I'm just going to stay in my cave and just not put myself out there like that. But, you got to keep shooting your shot until you get it. And so, again, when we were meeting with, certainly with Michelle and King, we talked about, we shared our story in terms of how we met. And in that process, and they asked me, some really engaging questions. They asked us about the quote unquote 7-year itch and what happened at that 7-8 year mark in our marriage. Did we go into were we in did we get into trouble at certain times? I said, yeah, we were very transparent about that situation. 7 years into our marriage, we had 3 kids in 4 years, and that was a stressful situation. And I wasn't getting what I got married for. And everybody knows by now what I got married for. So that was a time, a period that we had to go through. And then there were other times since then. Now we're kind of on the other end, and there's other issues that we've had to deal with over time. So again, it's always going to be this sort of evolving situation where you deal with the situation at hand. How you deal with it at the end is what's really important. So again, they were very transparent, and I asked, was like, any questions that you may have for us, go and ask us anything, which is a very natural conversation. And so again, it was really one of the better visits. Certainly, when you're meeting someone for the first time, one of the better, almost like a blind date sort of thing. It's like you meet somebody for the first time, and it was just a really a very engaging exchange, and certainly something I would look forward to hanging out with them in the future, or either us going to Maryland to hang out with them, or if they find themselves coming through this area again, definitely being able to see them.
I know
So
he
I
takes a
would,
lot of trips up this way and stuff like that because
right.
he has a good amount of friends in New York and stuff like that, and business and all that stuff. But one thing I will say, two things actually I want to say. One, I had such a voice expression when you mentioned about the packet you gave out, and the look on her face, like it was like, I can't believe this actually worked on me. I can't believe it, and it worked for you. It's pretty much like online dating almost, if you think about it, the way you did it.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was like I said, this was, I mean, people were still using fax machines. Like, what was weird about it was, like, I would get contacts from people, and I didn't know. So I would ask, like, where did you get the document from? And they would say, well, I don't know who I got it from. They would mention someone, but I didn't know who that person was. So it definitely wasn't something that I gave the document to directly. And one person, they said they got a fax of it, So again, do Gen Zers know about fax machines? I don't, or fax and documents, but again, so it was going viral before there was such a thing as viral at that point. And so that's part of it, what made it fun. I mean, that it was certainly an opportunity to be in orbits of people that I wouldn't have said otherwise met. And like I said, I never looked at, just because I might have went on a date with somebody, I never looked at that date as a failure, which is, I think, something that, again, a lot of people in everything, you try something once, you think you fail at it. Every opportunity that I had to meet someone was an opportunity to either refine what I was talking about in the document, or incorporate. It's like, yeah, I kind of like what that person did. We didn't necessarily were like a hit. There was no chemistry there, which again, that's something that you can't get online. You can't get online chemistry. That, I think, that has to be done in person. How someone's photo looks. Again, we see that all the time. It's like, oh, when you meet them, they don't look like anything in their photo.
Like I mentioned to you in past episodes we've done on the gray area, even on my channel, this on the Sponsor Arena show, is I have a 3-week rule, all right, and a three-step elimination. Step one, actually 4-step elimination. Step one is the conversation line must flow pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
If that flows well, then I move to texting. If that goes well, I go to the phone call. After phone call, we must have a FaceTime at some point.
Right.
And at that point, I like to meet you in face, even just for coffee, drinks, or whatever the case is, in 3 weeks. If I have to wait over 3 weeks, means you're not serious enough to actually move on to the next level with me.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Yeah. I mean, everyone's going to have a different, I knew someone at work, this is going back a few years, but she was in India, and her husband was, I think, in the U.S. or Latin, certainly in the, if not in the U.S., like maybe in one of the Latino countries or something like that. And they were pen pals for a time. There was actually a thing where you would just find people and you just write letters, and the way they exchanged for months was simply through letters.
Mm-hmm.
And then it got to a point where he basically went to India and met the family. Again, he's not Indian himself, but went to India, met the family and whatnot, and marriage was something that kind of came a little bit later. I know they're not much younger. She's probably in her 40s right now. So this might have been certainly in the maybe the early 90s, mid to early 90s when that went on. But again, that was a way in which people would certainly correspond with each other, again, before you had internet and hook chat rooms and all kinds of AV that technology is such where, yeah, I mean, you shouldn't have to necessarily wait to meet anybody. But like I said, I was talking earlier about the pictures and everything. It's just amazing to me how sometimes people put pictures of themselves on their, whether it be, I don't care if it's their LinkedIn profile or whatever. It's like, the picture's like 10, 20 years old. And then you meet him in person and was like, it's like, you're definitely not what you were in your picture. And so that's always something that's always something that is, to me, is a tell. It's like, if you can't keep current pictures of yourself or whatever, what if you talk about what you used to be, and now with the AI, that is definitely something. I mean, people are definitely looking enhanced. It's like you don't look that good. You know what I mean? Your hair, their skin being smooth like that and whatnot. So people using AI to enhance their images, and I'm still like, why? I got lines on my forehead, I got wrinkles, I got, if I was gonna go that route again, because Michelle asked me, well, would I do what I did again? I probably would do something. I don't know if I would do necessarily the written documents, but it would probably be written in some form. I may express myself through blogging that I didn't do before, or if I was on one of those dating sites that allows you to have like a long profile of yourself, I may express a lot of what I want to say through that. I don't know if I go around in my car just having 20 copies of a document just to say here, somebody here. Because I think there's other mediums to do that, but possibly. I mean, I certainly think just the process of going through and exposing yourself and putting yourself out there, and again, mind you, part of the document, I wanted to scare some people away, quite frankly. Like if you weren't about certain things that I believed, I didn't need you contacting me. So it was almost like, you turn the light on and you see the roaches scatter. And if there's a few left, those are the ones you want to talk to. You know what I mean? I wasn't trying to attract the world. I just wanted to attract the ones that would say, okay, this sounds interesting. Let me explore it. And again, a lot of times you would have some excellent conversations about that. So a lot of things that we talk about today when it comes to relationships, when we talk about roles, gender roles or whatnot, it was an opportunity to have that kind of conversation. And because one thing that I'm also somewhat troubled, and I think we talked about it on one of your Spartan Arena shows, is I kind of got some people on the panel upset because I thought that if you're serious about like you wanting to be like in a long-term relationship, it shouldn't take you more than 6 months to figure out whether or not this person's for you or not. And some people just didn't agree with that. They thought it was way too short. But I'm like, I'm asking myself, what have you guys been talking about for the last 6 months? Right. I mean, you meet somebody, you're talking, you like them, you're talking almost every night. I mean, when I was dating, people, if I was really into it, we talked every night, sometimes several hours a night. How much you're going to talk about pop culture? How much you're going to talk about, if you're into pick a hobby, where you're into sports or wrestling or, fan stuff, like Comic-Con stuff. I mean, how much of that content is that you're going to talk about before you get into something serious about who you are as a person, your background, your, what you want out of life and things like that. That shouldn't take 6 months to get to. But then people be like, well, we're still learning about each other. I'm like, what's there to learn about a person that you couldn't learn within a 6-month period? So if you're going longer than 6 months and you're talking about you're still getting to know someone, I think there's a problem with the conversations that you're having. That it's a lot of sizzle but no steak. And so yeah, I kind of still stand by that. That if you know what you want and you're willing to go and put that out there, and whoever decides to stay back and wants to be for the conversation, just like we got again the call-in show tonight. So again, the link's been posted. I'll put the link out there again. Anybody who wants to jump on this and talk about again either past shows that we've done or talk about what we're just kind of shooting the breeze tonight. Anybody wants to certainly join this conversation, you're free to do or whatever's on your mind, you're free to join the conversation and chop it up with us. We're just kind of filling the airspace and just talking about previous our encounter from last night, just to fill the time. But certainly you guys are more than welcome to join the conversation. But yeah, I gotta ask that. I think being intentional about the conversations that you have, especially if you're so concerned about not wanting to waste time, or I spent 6 months messing with somebody and it didn't seem like to go anywhere. I got to question what the conversations you've been having. Was it anything substantive? And I love what King and Michelle did. They said they actually had, and again, I'm not sharing anything that they didn't talk about on their own platform. So you can certainly go there and listen to some of their content, but they actually had a dating contract. You know what I mean? So again, I think she was somewhat intrigued by what I did because, they in turn did something similar, in that there was going to be some rules of engagement when it came to dating. And if things got violated, then they would simply stop dating. But and I think King, I think he's the one who kind of came up with the idea, but it gave him a framework with which to again navigate the relationship. Both of them coming from past relationships. King's been very transparent about the divorce that he had, and Michelle, certainly with her relationship history and whatnot. And again, being transparent, but it got to a point where they still want to deal with each other. And I think at the end of the day, I think that's really what matters.
Mm-hmm.
Your thoughts, Pete?
They had a weird start out.
You keep saying weird.
No, because
they're not weird. Like I said, I'll use my Vulcan. I'll use my Spock. They're fascinating. I'll say that. they are a fascinating, idea. And like I said, part of the conversation like I was trying to get to is like, what makes you guys tick? What makes you guys work to the level that you've been able to work it? So fascinating is probably what I would use. But I want to use weird in a way that they're a bit eccentric or whatever. I don't get that vibe, but they certainly have an interesting way of working.
But even said at first they didn't want to start dating either.
Mm-hmm.
Not Paul. King said it, and like when he was going to meet with her, he was like, "If I'm going to go down there to game a little bit, I'm straight." Because we're playing board games, I think he said, or something like that.
Yeah, there was some sort of game. Yeah, some sort of game night that they had.
Yeah. But once he found out more information about her, he was fascinated.
There you go. See, not weird, but fascinating.
I can't win with you some days. So it was a relationship that maybe was a way. It was meant to be in a way. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because he needs somebody to keep him grounded sometimes. Because I know King. Mm-hmm. He needs a grounding person once in a while.
Mm.
And
he seems like a young person at heart. He still seems like yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because when he's a kind of person, if he wants to do it, he wouldn't ask permission. He would just do it. If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
That's how he always been as long as I know him. Like if he wants to do it, just do it. Like if you coming along or deuces, I'm doing my thing. I do me. If you want to come along, do it. Mm-hmm. But with her, he still does his thing, but she comes along and vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I think they find the nice balance between each other. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Well, I think they're both kind of free spirits in their own ways. You know what I mean? Like she's very much, she's artsy. She's, creative. She's into a lot of different interests. Mm-hmm. I guess being former military, he played sports and whatnot. So you may have, so as much as you say King does what he wants to do, he also knows structure, right? He knows he kind of comes from that kind of background. He knows discipline. So again, I think, like I said, I think there's a lot of ways in which they are similar, but they're, at the same time, they're allowed to self growth. I thought I saw my man Anton in the back. Anton, if you want to hop on, I thought I saw you pop up for a minute, but just really jump back on. I'll add you to the combo when you want to, if you want to come up tonight. But yeah, like I said, and I certainly would encourage, certainly for those of you who are, if you've met through this space, like I said, me and Peter, we met through this space, right? We both were guests on the Black Male Unfiltered Network. And then through that, we exchanged, we started the dialogue. He reached out to me about doing this show, which we've been doing since 3 years now.
This is the 3, yeah. And I think the first conversation we had about our personal life, you were asking me about my martial art background, actually.
Yeah, because I've always had an interest in martial arts and whatnot. And when I learned of your background, I definitely want to learn more about that. But it's like I said, meeting virtually. There's nothing wrong with that. The ability to, it's what you build from that, I think, is what matters. But we got our first guest coming on tonight, and certainly what a guest to have. We have our guy, Lost in Translation, in the building, the one and only. It's good to have you on, my man. What is going on with you? And he comes with his own theme music. I love it. What is going on, sir? How you been? What's going on, man?
Give me a second, man. I'm trying to fix this thing, man, because
I got you. I got you.
I'm in the background, I'm in the foreground, you know.
I heard that. I heard
Man,
that.
we haven't seen this guy in a long time. He's MIA.
Yeah, man. But man's always got something going on. But like I said, he be in these spaces. I see him. He comes in. He'll float in. He'll drop in. He'll give us a salute or whatever. So he be watching. So I appreciate anytime he adds to the conversation. But certainly we just appreciate anytime he's able to come on. But just let us know. Just speak out anytime when you got things you got things ready. But yeah, what was I saying before he jumped on? I just lost my train of thought.
About King and Michelle. That's why I
about King and Michelle. Yeah. So I mean, it's what I'm saying was, like I said, you see enough in them, you see enough gray area there that allows them to function. And what was also interesting about that, shout out my man Anton, Jersey stand up in the building. See, we got these ball brothers on the left side. We got the follicles. We got the follicle brothers on the right side.
Here we go with this thing again.
But what's going on with you, sir? How you been?
I had more than one window open. So
good.
You know how that
Gotcha. What's going on with you, sir?
Man, busy, man.
Yeah.
Not much. I'm staying busy as always. Can you hear me, Lord?
Yep, you sound fine.
It's good to hear from you. I haven't seen you in a while. Ghost of Sparta, thanks for all right, cool. Thanks. This is a new set I just got. Ghost of Sparta, thanks for getting my email and everything else. I'm definitely looking forward to helping out. And of course, Mr. Bennett, Jersey.
Yes, it.
Stand up.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. So, and we said we got a few folks out here. We had our Payne. He jumped on a Tuesday panel, so I need to reach out to him. We need to break bread and have lunch again. Certainly love doing it. Like I said, I love the idea of meeting people in these virtual spaces. And if you have the opportunity to meet and break bread with them, I think not only does it, obviously you create new relationships, but even in your content, I think me and Peter are better because we've been able to, have this fellowship together. And I think it creates for a more dynamic show and conversation. So again, I think it's the best use of social media or certainly these YouTube platforms when you can, build, certainly these relationships. So, and again, Anton, certainly I look forward to meeting you, certainly in the near future and being able to connect a little bit. We got a lot to, definitely got a lot to share being in this area. But I wanted to ask you though, since you are the avid NHL fan that you are, so you like the current champions. Is this the Stanley Cup hangover or whatever? They kind of a little bit slow to get. The Devils though are rocking though, so like they're off to a I think they're leading their division and whatnot. But it seems like for the champs, does it just sort of take them a minute to kind of get slow to get started, or are they in trouble? You there, Anton? Can you hear me? He was there just a second ago.
Yeah,
He might have freed up. All right, so
we're
going frozen. Yeah, Anton, you're frozen up a little bit, so you might want to check that and then come back in.
Frozen?
But okay, you're back now. But did you hear my question
right now? Okay. Yes, I did. Right now, what's up with the Panthers is they had a couple issues before the start of the season.
Mm-hmm.
What happened was they lost their captain Alexander Barkov to the season. He injured his knee right when training camp started, so he's going to be out for the whole season.
Wow.
And also Matthew Tkachuk, their assistant captain, was out with an abdominal injury that he suffered while playing in the Four Nations face-off early this year. Mm-hmm. And even though he did take some time off after the tournament, he was still able to come back to play in the playoffs with them to help lead them to win that second cup for the team. And then he had surgery over the summer, and basically he's recovering right now. He's not going to come back, not for another, I believe, 3 weeks. He's supposed to start playing again sometime in, I think, later this month or early in December. Mm-hmm. And right now, the situation for him is his brother Brady, playing with the Ottawa Senators, is going to be out for some time because he got hurt with a thumb injury. So he's going to be out for at least 6 weeks. And also with your Devils, Jack Hughes got hurt at a team function. had surgery on his finger. He's going to be out for at least a good 6 to 8 weeks. So basically, with the Panthers, they've lost some guys, because of training camp and guys still recovering. Plus, also, the Four Nations face-off took place early in the year. So some guys got kind of banged up from there. So that's just basically what it is. It's not the fact that they're dealing with the hangover. It's just the fact that they're dealing with some injuries as well and guys coming back. So that's just basically what it is. And now with the NHL bringing players back to the Olympics this year, a lot of teams are looking at right now this part of the season, from the beginning of the season up till I believe around January, February, basically till mid to late January, when to make their final decision, because I think they have to turn in their final rosters by, I believe, sometime in later December or early January.
Gotcha.
And right now, each country had to turn in at least 6 names to their respective rosters. And right now, the teams that are being talked about, of course, because of hockey, are the United States and Canada. Right now, Canada is in, but here's the thing. Canada right now is at a crossroad, because even though they won the Four Nations with a lot of their well-known players like Sidney Crosby, Nathan McKinnon, and others, they had bad performance at World Juniors early this year, especially because of the fact that it took place in Canada, and that's a real big deal up there. Yeah. They did very abysmal. And then, of course, later that spring at the World Championships, they had a very bad performance as well. They went in a little overconfident, and they got knocked out in the quarterfinals by, I believe it was by Denmark. So right now, it's trying to figure out which group of players do you pick. Do you stick with all the guys from Four Nations, or are you going to, because those guys that played at Four Nations, some of those played at World Championships. Yeah. And they still had a bad performance. But also, some of the guys have played for the juniors at World Juniors are now in the league. Do you pick some of those guys for the Olympic roster as well? So right now, they're at a crossroads and trying to figure out what to do. The United States, on the other hand, are in a much better situation. World Juniors, they won. So it was back-to-back wins for the first time in their program's history. So you got a good crop of those players. All those guys were playing college hockey. Some of them came through the National Team Development Program. So these guys already have a familiarization with each other. Plus, also some of these players played together on last year's World Juniors teams where they won gold as well. And then even though the team finished silver behind Canada in the Four Nations, they actually ended up winning World Championships later that spring. And that was their first win at the World Championships in 92 years. And a good core of those players, some of those guys were guys from the Four Nations face-off. They had a few players, I believe they had maybe like a small number of players that was from the World Juniors. But also, I know for a fact they did have some players that didn't make the cut for Four Nations. So they figured they'll take this opportunity to go play at World Championships to make a name for themselves. And so from one player that's making a name for himself for the United States is Tage Thompson. Hey,
Anton, you're starting to break up a little bit
at Four Nations.
Yeah, you're starting to break up a little bit. So yeah, you're starting to break up some. But I think we're getting the gist. But all right, so I'm gonna come back to you. But the big first question is, okay, where's you already got your YouTube channel? So where is it? You cover. I've never seen a brother talk so passionately and intimately about NHL hockey. So we're waiting for the NHL, the Black NHL Sports Show on the YouTube network by Anton. So again, you gave me an education in 5 minutes that I probably haven't even had an interest in months. So you already got your caller, brother. You know the NHL, you know not only just the NHL, you know the world game, which in my view is a very exciting. Like I said, Olympic hockey, because I know they play with a bigger rink and whatnot. It's a bigger surface, way more exciting than sometimes the NHL. It has a smaller rink. So, but you got the pulse on that. But let me hop on real quick to Loss. So what's been going on with you, sir? How you been? And any thoughts on what we've been talking about? So we've been kind of throwing it around and whatnot. But my thing is, I guess about a theme tonight again, the use of social media to build personal relationships. Your thoughts on that process as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna give y'all an example. social media is one of those things where sometimes I think we take it for granted and don't use it for what we need to use it for.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I've been gone because I had a friend of mine who I usually do podcasts with on the other side of
Mm-hmm.
Facebook and stuff like that. Gentleman by the name of Gregory Devon, he passed away in October.
Oh,
So
sorry.
you know
I'm
that
sorry to
kind
hear
of
that, man.
I could have took that one kind of hard, but
Condolences.
yeah. And if you go back and you'll see some of my older stuff, you see some stuff that we used to do, and that just took me off guard because he was a younger guy. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
that kind of threw me for a loop. And plus, he was a pastor too, and he was single. So that lets us know we don't have, you know, a whole lot of time here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So what I did was I took some time off to reflect and to get my bearings. You know what I'm saying, on what's really going on. So what I started doing is I started doing music to take my mind off of it. And what I started doing is I started having conversations with people on the other side of TikTok about some of the things that they experience. And I started taking some of those conversations and turning them into songs. And when I tell you I've got some good stuff, you know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Because most of the time, most songs are just simply stories of life
That's right.
that we've been through.
That's
you know
right.
what I mean?
That's right.
And what some of these songs allow me to do is to take somebody else's story and tell it to somebody else to let everybody know, hey, you human, you going through what you're going through too. So there'll be days where I would write a minimum of 2 songs, but today I think I did like 6.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
So is your main medium
Yeah,
in music,
that's
is it the
serious.
writing? Is it singing? Is it playing?
It's
What?
everything, man. It's
Wow.
everything. It's the writing, it's the producing. Because you know, I play instruments too and sing too.
Yeah. Yeah. What
Oh, wow, I
instruments
didn't know that.
you get down with?
Yeah. And so I used to produce a long time ago. But here's the thing, Paul. What I realize is that sometimes you can be way ahead of your time, but when it's your time, it's your time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So back in
Yeah.
the day, I used to take music and I used to fuse it together. I used to take funk, soul, rock, country, mix it all up. But back then it was harder to do because everything was analog. It was tape. You know what I'm saying? You had to put in different inputs, outputs. You had to balance stuff out. It was a pain in the neck. So the barrier for entry is a little bit more difficult back then. But now all it takes is an idea.
Yeah.
It happens in a flash of a moment. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I made a song in the middle of having a conversation with somebody today, and it came out fire. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I was like, that's what I'm talking about. So most of all the songs that I have, I usually put them up on my page, and I also put them up on TikTok. You know what I'm saying? So
For sure.
those are 2 different audiences. And what I'm going to do with my YouTube page is for each song that I have is to tell the story behind that particular song.
Wow.
So I've done over 100 songs. So of course, you know, I'm gonna be busy.
Absolutely.
From here on out.
Absolutely.
One thing I
Do
would
us a favor. Drop if you got links that you want to share, whether it be your TikTok or your where this music is being
It's on my page,
posted.
so you ain't got to look hard. Yeah,
Okay.
just go to videos, and you'll see them. They loaded up on there. It's like it's like over 100 songs, man. It's
One thing I will say about music is I know country music and rock. I can speak for myself what I know mostly. Those 2 that I know of, again, please, if I'm wrong, please correct me. Tells a story always. I know definitely country.
I got
music,
country
the
songs
older
too.
stuff. I'm sorry.
Listen, when I tell you I got all different genres of music, I got classical, I got rock, I got country music. I got a whole country album I ain't released yet.
Wow.
And once I'm done, I'm gonna release all of that stuff to Spotify and Apple Music and all of that stuff. I got different genres, man. Blues, reggae. I got world music. When I say and I have an idea that hits, it hits, and I just can't stop. I have to keep going until I get it out.
Right.
Just do me a favor. Do me a big favor. When you blow up and become big, don't forget the little spark in here, man. Don't forget about me. I got you back. We're boys, right? We're boys.
Yeah. But you reminded me, Lost. We did a great area a few weeks back talking about music.
Right.
And one of the questions that I asked was,
where was it going?
What is the 2020 sound? Like, I know a 50 song where I hear it, 60s, 70s, 80s. And a lot of that also had to do with the technology that was available. In the 80s, you had the synthesizer start to come out. You had that MTV type of sound. The 90s, you had that kind of grunge sound.
Right.
But since the 2000s, I'm like, I'm not so sure I can say that song is from that era or the music that defines the decade. What was the sound of the 2010s? Or
Right.
what is the sound since we're in the middle of the 2020s? Because a lot of the songs that I'm hearing, obviously they're borrowing songs from the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s to sort of make it. So I don't know if there is a 21st century sound. But those decades from the 50s on, and you can go back, 40s, you had, jazz, blues, you had, country, you had those genres that came up through there, and you know it when you hear it. But now everything seems to be a fusion, like even country music. Like if you got Conway Twitty and
I got a
them folks
country
from
rap
back in
song.
the day,
I
yeah,
got a
it's
country
like
rap song, man.
everything is melding together. So
Yeah.
I don't know if you're going to have. I was just asking myself when we go and do over that show, has music reached a limit in terms of something new, like the scale, like the music scales, right? That the music scale hasn't changed in hundreds of years, right? So
Right.
A through F or whatever the musical range is, G,
Right.
whatever that is, that's there. How
Right.
much more can you manipulate that to come up with something to say, wow,
I will tell you this.
different?
The next evolution is not so much as fusion, it's texture. What can you add to it to make it sound different? I've been recently listening to most of the new music that's coming out now, and it's mostly falsetto, that type of thing. And it's them borrowing stuff from earlier generations, like you said earlier. But the creativity is where the next genre of music is going to come from. Different type of topics, that type of thing, and infusing them together. I think that's going to be the next evolution. And especially now, the barrier to entry for somebody to make a hit song is so low that anybody could hit. I was watching something on TikTok with this girl who made this song and it hit #1 on the billboards. And it was an artificial intelligent crafted song. And people were saying, well, it's not you. She said, it don't matter. It's an extension of me. You know what I'm saying? She still came up with it.
Right.
And people were kind of mad because, her AI avatar didn't look like her. Well, do you want the music or you want the person?
Right.
Now, which one is it? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Now let
I
me
think
ask
that's
you.
one of those
Let me
things.
ask you this, because seen it so many times from artists. You talk about music come out, it may not mean anything, but it blows up.
Right.
And a lot of times the songs that blow up, if you talk to the artist, they couldn't stand it. You know what I mean? Or it was something like you had like, okay, you got the record album. They say, look, you have a responsibility. You got to come out with an album or a certain number of tracks. And just for giggles, it's like, here, take this just to get off my back. And that gets on air and it blows up. And that's what the artist is known for. And in their minds, they're kind of frustrated because you put your blood, sweat, and tears into this other music that nobody now wants to hear, because all they want to hear is the pop music that plays on the radio 24/7 or whatnot. And you became known by that. But I've seen so many artists hate their hits. So why do you think that is? Or have you gone into that situation since you're a producer of music? How would you feel if something that you thought was just a throwaway and it becomes big? Are you going to embrace that? Or are you gonna
I will tell you this. I don't have a problem with it because I'm a type of person where I'm eclectic. If you go through my catalog, none of it, well, some of it sounds the same, but for the most part, it's all different. And what I mean by it's all different, if you listen to it, like today, I did a classical piece out of nowhere. You know what I'm saying? And it was birthed out of the conversation between these young guys wanting to wear quarter zips versus cardigans now. You know what I'm saying? They didn't put down the gang banging paraphernalia. Now they want to dress up. So what I did was I made a classical song about quarter zip and cardigans. And I turned it into a classical song instead of a hip hop song because of the nature of it. And it hit hard. I didn't think it was going to hit that hard, but genre is one of those things that you don't have to stick to it. Just like what's this guy's name? October London. He also does neo soul and that type of thing, but he also has country too that don't nobody know about. He goes under a different alias. So that's the good thing about being a musician, is that you're not really tied down to a particular genre. If you like it, you like it. Just like the other day, I was having a conversation with a gentleman from Nigeria, and he was telling me about what was going on in that country. And I said, tell me some of the things that go on. And from the conversation we had, I was able to handcraft a song right in the middle of the conversation when I played it.
Right.
And it gave him a reaction that I wasn't expecting. He had a tear come down his eye because of the way I wrote it and the way that I had put it and composed it in such a way that it drew into an emotion. It tapped into an emotion that he wasn't prepared for. And that happened today, where a gentleman was having a conversation with somebody else, and he was talking about how he was having a situation where he couldn't talk to girls or whatever. And I wrote a song called "I Wonder If She Sees Me," and that thing hit, and he had a tear coming down his eyes. So that's the whole point of music, is to touch people in a way that has that emotion that wells up. Because believe it or not, that's exactly the main reason why we love the songs that we love, is because they touch places that nobody else can touch.
Yeah.
Now,
and so what kind of music? Go ahead. You ask a question. I'll go to Anton.
Yeah. How do you feel with this old AI music coming out now? It's like almost no effort into the music. You type in a couple words and they builds the song for you.
Well, here's the thing. That's what it allows me to do what I do, to the velocity of what it does. Basically what it is, it allows me to get in a Formula One racing car and take the brakes off. You know what I'm saying? I can go as fast as I want. Well, back in the day, technology really slowed me down. You know what I'm saying? So now I don't have any brakes. So somebody who has a lot of creativity like myself, it allows me to go as fast as I want. If I wanted to, I can write a song every 30 minutes if I wanted to, every 10 minutes if I wanted to.
And my follow-up question is, like, when you are doing music, which software program you personally use? Do you like a Mac or a PC?
I use Mac because that's what I got. But you can use anything that you got. You know?
Yeah. But I remember when Macs came out, they were certainly one of the pioneers when it came to synthesizer, being able to hook up. It was that, and I think at the time the Amiga system that was out at the time. I think they were definitely well ahead of their time in terms of allowing burgeoning artists to kind of put those two together. I think they were definitely ahead of the curve. So at the time, that was like late 80s into early 90s. I remember that coming out, and it was definitely pretty prominent. But Anton, what kind of music you into? I mean, you know, we're around the same age, so you're an 80s head, 90s. You listen to everything, or you have certain genres that you rock with.
I think he's frozen again.
Think it's frozen again. Anton, you there? You may have to come back in again.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here.
Okay. So again, so what's your musical taste? Where you tend to the fashion?
Say again.
What your musical taste? So you're on a long car ride. What you putting in?
All right, let me try something.
Okay, you're still breaking up something. Yeah, go out and come back in. But while he's doing that, Loss, I want to ask you a question. Someone told I was in some sort of educational session at work, and the guy was saying that if you're one of those people who only listens to a particular genre of music, so let's say if you grew up in the 70s and that's the only thing you listen to, that the indication was that there was something about your cognitive development that just kind of gets stunted if you live in a certain genre or what have you. Now, again, I didn't quite understand that, but what's your view on those who only want to live in, or especially when it comes to their music or what have you, like they're only going to play AC/DC and that's all they listen to, or me, like I said, I'm an old school rap head. If the rap isn't from 1979 to 1990, I'm kind of out. There might be a couple songs here or there that may resonate with maybe 92, 93, like in that, but to me, that's like the golden era, because again, that's not only the time that I came of age, but as I think what Braxton was saying earlier, like the mumble rap that you have today and whatnot, I just don't resonate with that. But when I go back and listen to stuff from the 80s, when we're talking about Public Enemy or Tribe or, you know, that era is just something that's like, you know what? I got these. I got them on my deck. I don't need anything else. Am I being a bit stunted, or am I being a bit too engrossed to see, is there other stuff that's out there? What's your thought on that, on terms of people who, like, you know, they got their genre and I'm good and I don't need anything else?
Well, here's the thing. Everybody likes what they like, you know, especially when they came from a particular area. You know what I mean? An era. I assure you that I'm pretty sure I got some stuff that you'll like, even
Okay.
though you may not
Right.
know about it. You know what I'm saying? When
Right.
you hear it, you're gonna be like, yeah, because it takes elements from stuff that you like,
Yeah.
and I can put it with stuff that you may not like, and then make something that you enjoy. You see
Yeah.
what I'm saying? But here's the thing: music is one of those things where it's universal,
Mhm.
and it really doesn't matter where it comes from. Because think about it, classical music, as really blues gets its roots from classical music. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? That type of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
And what people don't realize is that it's all the same. It's just you may use different instruments, but the stories are different. The
Mhm.
textures are different.
Mhm.
What you add to, what you take away from it. Basically, if you have a particular beat, what I've noticed is if there's a beat there, anything can hit. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? You can take that same beat and put it in the country music, put it in the classical music, put it in the pop music. It's the rhythm that
Yeah.
your body is craving,
Yeah.
not so much as the other stuff.
Mhm.
But if you got that rhythm, you can get into it. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? But
Yeah.
like you said earlier, the 70s music is what you grew off of. I'm pretty sure you have fond memories of it. And
Mhm.
that's the reason why that sticks. I'm guilty of that
Mhm.
because most of my stuff is geared toward 70s R&B,
Mhm.
90s R&B, neo
Mhm.
soul,
Yeah.
because that's what good sounds to my ears. You see what I'm
Right.
saying?
And you
Because people
associated with the
around me like
good.
that.
You
Right.
also associated with a good, like you said, a good experience because that was the
Right.
cookout. That was the family over. That was,
Right.
folks got up and danced. The one thing I noticed, like a lot of times, like people don't dance like
No, they
they
don't.
used to. I mean, and I'm
No.
telling you, everybody, grandma got out, uncles and aunties got out. Now, if something hits, it's so specific to the music. Like
Right.
if someone's young people's music comes on or whatever, the young people may go out and do their thing. But it's like it's one or the other. Either
Right.
if you put an old jam on, you get the old people out. If you put the new stuff on, the young people come out. But where's that music where everybody's out? You know what
You
I
know,
mean?
Mr. Bennett, I got a song called BBL from Beyond. It's about a
What?
guy who falls in love with an alien with a BBL.
Oh my god.
And I'm pretty sure you guys are like that. You know what I'm saying? It ain't nothing that you ain't heard of before, but again, it's something different and it's got a nice little beat to it. I think you guys enjoy.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So Anton, before you came back on, I was asking, so what are your musical tastes? You got that long drive down I-95. What's in the deck? You're more like an eclectic, or there's just certain genres that you resonate with?
Oh wow, it would be a blending of a lot of different stuff that people find hard to believe. I would have a little bit of Public Enemy, I would have a little bit of NWA, but I would
Mhm.
also have Linkin Park. I would have System of a Down. I would have Metallica, Van
Mhm.
Halen. If I wanted something a little bit slow, like ironically, I would use Enya. I would use Nina Simone or Nana Spura or Edith
Mhm.
Piaf.
Yeah.
I just like to bounce a little bit everywhere. Sometimes I'll use even early 80s music from like when MTV first aired. So I'll listen
Mhm.
to anything from like Dexter's The Midnight Rush to The Buggles to Devo to YouTube to just a little bit of everything. So I'm just like a little bit of everywhere with some of my stuff. I'll even listen to a lot of old school stuff from my parents from back home. I'll listen to a good amount of compa. I'll listen to a lot of good
Mhm.
amount of music as well, like real popular
Mhm.
groups, like popular groups back then, like Septembre National, Tabu Combo, Skasha, Zen. You talk to anyone that's Haitian, they'll know what these groups are and everything
Right.
else.
These are reggae
That's one of the
groups
reasons, like one of my favorite
or
artists is Wyclef.
right.
No,
You
these are
said
all
these are
very
these
compa groups from Haiti,
called
and these are
okay, so
groups that
that's
have
a
been
different.
around for a
I don't
very
think
long time.
okay, so I don't think I've heard that that name before, that description. So it's a branch of, so what's it more, is it kind of like reggae? Is it calypso? Is it African? What if you were to
It's
describe it?
it's a blending sound, like a little bit of reggae, a little bit of calypso, definitely string and horn instruments.
Mhm.
Basically, a lot of people, the best way I could describe it is listen to anything from Wyclef, and then you'll get a better understanding of it. Like Wyclef
Gotcha.
has
Yeah.
always done a lot of art. He's done rock. He's done soul. He's always blended a lot of traditional music a lot of traditional Haitian music with a lot of his stuff most recently. So if you get a chance, listen to a lot of his current stuff and some of his old stuff, and you'll see what I mean by that.
For sure.
And I'm about to have a visitor with me right now.
Oh, hello.
No,
how are you?
You gotta go to bed.
How are you?
No, he's supposed to be going to bed. I gotta send him upstairs. Sorry about that.
I got you. All right, so we got a gentleman in the back, Ian Bennett. Ian, I'm not sure if we've had an opportunity to meet. Could you show your face, please, just so we can verify you before we bring you on? Again, if you can do that, we appreciate it. Just just need to see you before we came on since we haven't met you before.
Is this not one you're related? A person you're
Nah,
related
so
to?
I'm getting all these people who are like, yeah. So we had on another
Doug
Bennett last week, the comedian. He was on. And so again, this is another one. So I'm going to bring him up for the first time. This is Ian Bennett, and again, no relation. At least I don't know. Like I said, I just got my DNA results just got revamped, and so I have some ties to Wales and Middle England and whatnot. I got a little Irish up in there, but I don't have any. As far as I know, I don't think I have an Ian Bennett in the family tree yet. But I see Ian. Are you in the back? Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, how you doing tonight, sir?
I'm fine, and yourself?
Doing well. What's on your mind?
Just stuff.
Headache. I'm hot. My sugar's low. Somebody drank all my Pepsis. I got to drink diet fucking Pepsi.
Okay.
And I don't want to play Call of Duty, and my feet hurt, and all my fingers are sore. I'm not trying to fucking lose weight. Who says I'm trying to lose weight?
All right, sir. I may have to bounce you. I'm gonna have to bounce you off, sir. We weren't looking for that, but yeah, anybody who wants to, again, part of the combo, certainly you're more than free to jump on. But
I have to take care of that, man.
Yeah, I appreciate that. that. But look, listen, if you're not getting a little bit, you ain't trying. So I don't mind a little bit of that. But Law, so again, so the music, like I say, I know your background has been with music, but do you have, like, what's the end game for you? Do you want to produce? Do you want to, like, you have this creative side that's just it's a passion for you. It seems like it's a bit of a vocation, but what's the end game for you? Do you want to, are you in a season in your life where you want to really dive into this?
I'm gonna be honest with you. The reason why I started was because I wanted to have my own music so I wouldn't get copyright strikes. You know what I'm saying? So from there, that's when I realized that I can do anything. You know what I'm saying? I can make music for other people. I've done jingles for other people for their channels. So I'm like, hey, I like this. Now I can do whatever I want to do. I don't have to worry about what comes on the radio. I can literally make the music I want to hear.
Yeah.
I don't have to worry about when is Anderson .Paak going to come out with a new song. I don't have to worry about when October London is going to come out with a new song. Guess what I'm going to do?
Yeah.
I'm going to put out what I want to hear, and it's going to be the subject matter I want to hear it in, and it's going to be produced to the liking that I like. Yeah. And if other people want to listen to it, they can.
Yeah.
I don't have to worry about dealing with any record labels, any other people in the way with their hand all in the pot telling me what I can't play, what I can play, that type of thing. For me, it's really the enjoyment of making the music and sharing it with other people without the other stuff in the way.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question now. Do you currently work in music?
Here's the thing. I've been doing music my whole entire life. Music has always been my first love. I just do the other stuff to get back to it. You know what I mean? Like, I go to my job just to get enough money so I can do some music on the side.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Buy my CDs that I like.
Yeah.
The speakers that I like.
Would you ever like to change careers and do music full time, and that's all you do?
I mean, if I did, they'll have to pay me, man.
That's what I'm saying.
They had to pay me a handsome sum. For me to do something for somebody else, they're gonna have to pay me because I enjoyed what I'm doing for free for me, and it's gonna cost them. You know what I'm saying?
And what you also said also about maintaining your integrity, also, because again, usually if they pay you, they want something back.
Right.
And
they
a lot of times,
So
how do you maintain the integrity of what it is that you're creating versus the demands of industry or labels or what have you? That's always a struggle that you have artists.
I will tell you this though, Paul. I've been I've been real good at pulling out what people really like, because sometimes it's hard for people to tell you what they want. But if you sit down with them long enough and talk to them enough, I can pull out what they want and then handcraft it. It's one thing for you to come up with something, but it's another thing for you to reach into somebody else's head and pull out that song that they can't tell you what they want to hear and then give it to them. That is a skill. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's one thing for me to do it because it's in my head. I know how to pull it out. It's another thing for you to pull it out of somebody else's head and give it to them. That's the difference.
Are you somewhat surprised
That's
that
true.
there still are record labels to the degree that they are? Like, I don't know, I guess maybe 20 years ago, the idea was with social media, with YouTube, with the platforms that were done, that there would be a lot more artistic independence, that you had guys. Who's the guy who wears the hat with the C on his what was his name?
Chance the Rapper, I think.
Chance the Rapper.
Chance the Rapper.
Like, you would just have like all these different streams and vehicles for artists that you didn't have to be married to a record label, because we all heard about those horror stories of these great artists that we listened to, TLC and whatnot, that they're broke. Early in the year, you saw that sister from In Vogue, I think her name is Robson, she's living out of a car, and you just heard all these horror stories. It's like same story, New Edition, all these guys who made millions of dollars for these record companies or these promoters or whatever, and they wound up broke. And so the idea was, you thought that through, again, these platforms, that you would have a more independent artists being able to take some agency and over their work and profit from their work. But I don't know if that's happening to the degree which at least the initial promise of it was. What do you think about that? Is what's been the bottleneck? Why you won't see more independent artists having full agency over their work? It still seems like these record labels are still dominating to an extent.
The previous bottleneck was equipment and time. You know what I'm saying? That was in creativity. That was the previous bottleneck. Now, that's not a problem. Equipment is no longer a problem because everything is digital. Time is no longer a problem because you can do a song in 10 minutes. You know what I'm saying? And then back then, when people made records, it was something that was portable. It had to be pressed. It had to be distributed. You know what I mean? The money had to be divvied up. You had a physical media in your hand. Now it's streaming. Back then, where a CD would cost you $10, an artist may get $1 off of that, and the rest of it is distribution. Paying for studio time, that type of thing. Well, eliminate studio time, eliminate the producer, because you don't need him anymore. You eliminate the record player, the record company, because you can go straight to DistroKid and distribute your stuff through everybody else. The only problem with that is that you get paid fractions of a penny for a stream. And that really doesn't pay a lot unless your song really, really hits. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So the next evolution is actually being able to have a relationship with your audience where they feel comfortable buying directly from you instead of going through streaming and Spotify and all the rest of these other places where people say, hey, look, I support you. I'm going to buy directly from you. And then from there, you make the music that they like. That is going to be the next evolution in music.
So you say evolution, it almost sounds kind of old school, though. It kind of sounds like, again, back in the day, you sold your own mixtapes out your car. You were at the club, you did your thing or whatever. Someone wanted a mixtape of yours, you sold it direct. It seems like we need a digital form of that where, like you said, the people will therefore buy directly from you. But it seems like, so it's an evolution, but it's almost like going back to the old days.
Correct. It's all about having a relationship
I mean,
with the audience.
Yeah.
Exactly. I know what you mean by that from you, because I remember sometime back when Prince, before he passed away, when he was still doing his issue with Warner Brothers, and he never liked music streaming. He was never a fan of Apple Music before. Back then it was called iTunes. He wasn't a fan of Napster or any of that. And I remember one time he did an album. He did a 3-disc album. It was called, one disc was called Minneapolis Sound. Another one was called, I think, Evolution. I'm trying to remember. I forgot the name of it. And the third disc was with someone that he was working with. Her name was Brie Valentine. And it was 3 CDs. And I had to go to Target to buy it. And only cost, I think, $11, $12. And that was one of the things that he was doing. Because he partnered with certain retailers like Target, like Walmart, and he definitely worked with Target because, of course, he's from Minneapolis, and Target is their corporate headquarters is based out of Minneapolis, Minnesota. So he would always partner with them. And what he would do is he will put out maybe a 2 CD set with 2 different types of songs, and then he will have someone that he's working with put out their debut album on an old-fashioned CD, and he only spent like $11 for it. And at that time, it was unheard of because I remember before he did it was Lotus Flower. That was the song. It was Lotus Flower. One album was called Lotus Flower. The other one was called Minneapolis Sound. And the third one was a debut album for someone he was working by named Brie Valentine. That's what it was. And I remember he tried doing the streaming himself. He set up his own, webpage where if you wanted any of his music that he was doing, nothing that was affiliated with Warner Brothers, had to go there. And then I remember he shut it down. Then he tried something else. He did it like 2 or 3 more times. And I remember he did the same thing when he put out an album, I think it was called 2131. He did the same thing as well. So he was always finding a way to control the distribution of his music. And anybody knows Prince. He is very finicky, not only in the type of music he does and how he wants it to sound perfect, but he was also, because of his dispute with Warner Brothers at that time, he was making sure that he controlled the distribution and he got the profits for it. And just time before he passed away, he was able to mend fences with Warner Brothers. And one of the things that they did to bring him back to their label, they gave him his catalogs. Everything he did when he was solo, everything he did when he was with the Revolution, even the songs that he did for soundtracks, when he did the soundtrack for Batman. And I believe when he also did Under the Chairman, what else? Purple Rain, Graffiti Bridge, basically all his work from when he first started to where he, I think, started with the New Power Generation, they gave his whole entire catalog. And at the same time, he was still writing music before he passed away, because when he went to his vault after he passed away, he had over 100 albums done. And I'm talking about, he had that much music in his catalog and his own personal catalog on top of what he already had done after he left Warner Brothers, including on top getting all his masters back from Warner Brothers. So he has like a multitude amount of music. He could put out an album every year for the next 100 years. Yeah. And that's still not going to be enough. That's how many songs that he has done. And it's like, it's just, it's just like, it's unbelievable that he's done this much music for so long. And I remember one time when I was watching Purple Rain before, when they re-released it. I'm busy, Sinclair. Sorry about that.
No problem.
Hi, Sinclair. Hold on. And I remember at the same time when I was watching the documentary, he would still frequent First Avenue, and it was First Avenue and 7th Street entry. He would still go to the club, watch a lot of the young up-and-coming groups, listen to what they're doing. He would invite them to Paisley Park. Hey, I heard what you were doing. He would play what they did. I heard what you're doing. Try it like this. And then he would do it freelance. And like a lot of the groups were like, wow. Like he found a way to mentor a lot of young up-and-coming artists and groups and everything else. So Prince was always about being that, not just that maestro, but he was always saw every album as a masterpiece. That's just how he was when it came to his music. And he always wanted to make sure that he didn't want young artists to go through the same struggles that he went through when it came to their masters.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And it's just, we may never get to sample everything that he did. I remember back in the day, I know Eric, he was a huge Prince fan, and just how stuff moved. Like I know he had that Black album that if you had that was like gold, and it was like how it got trafficked. If you were able to get one, it was just very difficult to get a lot of his material. But he's certainly seemed to do it simply for the love of music. But it's interesting, only a few or maybe a couple of those albums built Paisley Park. You know what I'm saying? Right. It's like you need that there was one or two, whether you liked it or not. But again, to fuel the passion, to build your own, studio and have the facilities for you to be independent like that. Yeah, I mean, sometimes it has to be a trade-off. I don't know if I've never heard him interviewed to say, was Purple Rain, that's the work that he was most proud of. I don't know. He may consider Graffiti Bridge a more thoughtful project. But I remember when Purple Rain came out, it was just like, it was like the hottest thing. And this is still when you had Michael and Thriller, you kind of coming off that high. And then 84, 85, Purple Rain comes out. And that's just like everybody, every kid. I mean, it's just, it was just amazing. We weren't, and that's the thing, the movie, for most of us, we were too young to see the movie because it was a rated R movie. So you couldn't even see the movie. But even the lyrics were, and if you listen to the lyrics, they could be a bit explicit also. So again, how we were even to listen to a lot of that stuff when our parents was like, you guys don't need to be listening to, certainly certain segments. Now Eric said he saw it. I don't know. So he had some different folks, but
saw it.
But yeah, yeah, right. But it wasn't like, a lot of those, it had, a lot of, adult content to it. So how kids were able to see it at that time, but we just got, some folks just got exposed to it. I don't think I saw it until I might have been in college. So now it's way after, obviously.
Honestly, I have never seen the movie, to be honest with you.
You've never seen it? Oh man.
No, I heard it, but I never seen it.
That's something you definitely add to the
yeah,
well,
definitely add
to the Purple Rain.
What are you talking about, Purple Rain?
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, I mean,
oh
back
my
then,
God.
we were like 13, 14 years old when it was out. So it's like we couldn't, unless, again, back in the day,
it was one of the first
movies
that earned the PG-13 rating.
No, that wasn't PG-13. I think it had to be an R, right? I mean, it had nudity.
I think it was PG-13.
Okay, the part where Apple had PG-13 as a rating. That was before they had PG-13 as a rating. PG-13 didn't come out until
so
like
it was rated. I thought it was one of the first. Okay, I guess I'm looking at
the sex scene the sex scene with Apollonia. There's no way that could have got a PG-13.
Yeah. Okay. I'm thinking of something else because I remember my sister.
That was pretty blunt.
I think if I remember, my sister was 14 when it came out. My sister was 14 when it came out, and I remember some of my cousins were already done with high school. They were already 16, 17 years old. And they went to see it when it came out. So I remember hearing about it. I was just like, you got to be kidding me.
Look, now, if you had a big brother, if you had a big brother, a big sister would take you, that's what.
or older cousins. They would take you to it. I didn't see it. I think the first time I saw Purple Rain is when it came on HBO. It actually came on HBO. And I think that was maybe 1986. 86, 87 around that time. Maybe,
see, back then you probably needed you needed the code on the cable box. You hit 90909 to get access to the older content. So I don't know if that was doing prime time or that was the after hours or whatever. But I'm just saying.
No, I remember my parents
you had to have that code to the cable box to watch certain material. So
my parents didn't have that code, so it was just like we had HBO, but we didn't have Showtime or Cinemax or the movie channel. So like HBO basically had all the stuff at that time. And I think the first time I saw it was on HBO. Yeah, it was the first time I heard about it. And I remember some people I know got the album. My sister actually still has 1999 on LP. She has 1999. She has the Purple Rain soundtrack. And I think she has one of his other albums, Around the World in a Day. She has all of them on the LP still to this day. I mean, a lot of that stuff was kept at my parents' house, but when my sister came back from Europe, she was able to grab them. She actually was able to find a record player, and she actually has them in her collection and everything. That was one of the first times because that was unheard of. When he did Purple Rain, that was unheard of. Like, really, he don't use and everything else. And I think later on after that, he just signed the Times. And then right before, and I remember when he did the Batman soundtrack. And then after that, I remember he did Graffiti Bridge. And even though a lot of people panned it, the one thing I remember from Graffiti Bridge was that's how Tevin Campbell made his debut because he did the song called Round and Round.
Yeah.
That was in the and they took that scene when he's saying it in Graffiti Bridge, and they used that as a music video.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
that just really showed back then. And I think what MTV did back then, when MTV was MTV, they had different genres of music and they just ran with it.
Mm-hmm.
Whether they're one-hit wonders or artists that are now in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and if they had something that just clicked, that people would listen to, that would get people to buy their CDs or their cassettes or their records, it worked.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that would also help a lot of these artists as well. And almost basically get crossover people before the term even spawned.
Yeah, for sure.
And
go ahead. Go ahead.
That's hear me? Okay. We were
you were breaking it. You broke out.
We're lucky to
went out
have
just a little bit.
be at the time. Oh, sorry about that.
Mm-hmm.
Just saying, we're lucky to grow up in a time when MTV was MTV. We were lucky to grow up at a time when we had VH1. We're doing a lot of other alternative music. We were lucky to grow up at a time when BET first came on the air and they had Video Soul with Donnie Simpson.
Mm-hmm.
We're lucky to grow up at a time when we have both Soul Train and American Bandstand. And another show I remember called Putting on the Hits. Another show called Dance Party USA.
Yeah,
it's funny you just
and we're also looking. Yes, I know. No, I'm going back. Say again.
It's funny you mentioned VH1 because I used to love watching Behind the Music. They were talking the story how they became.
Oh yes,
the falling of them, how they got back together, the struggles, the drug addiction, all that stuff. To me, that was the best documentaries you could ever watch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's almost like one of those things where you're talking about the video music shows. I honestly, like myself, I don't watch, or I don't even know if that's a thing anymore, like music videos. Like at the time in the 80s, the evolution, because it used to be like, especially in the late 70s, it would just be the band on stage and you just heard them play. But then once you had like Michael Jackson start coming out with stuff, Prince came out with stuff, like they became like mini movies in and of themselves. There was such an art form to them. And then once you started having the movies, like like Beverly Hills Cop and whatnot, they would take intersplice segments from the movies into the music videos and whatnot. That was a thing. Like we would literally be up at 11 or 12 o'clock whenever Video Music Box would come on, or in the afternoon after school or whatever. And you would spend like hours, like 2 hours watching music videos. I mean, it was just back then. You probably remember New York Hot Tracks used to come on late night on ABC at nighttime. Like we would stay up to watch video music videos. I don't know if that's a thing anymore. I don't know why or do they even put the work into making
actually, Paul,
videos
MTV,
as good as they used to?
MTV just got shut down completely. It's not even a thing anymore
in Europe. Yeah, in Europe, I heard.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
At the end, I think
I'm not sure if it was Europe or
at the end of the year.
I'm sorry.
I thought it was just. I thought they were shutting down at the end of the year.
I'm not sure if they shut down at the end of the year or they already did. I know they're shutting down. I'm not sure if it's going to be only in Europe or in the States too, or in general.
It's
I have
just
no
Europe,
idea.
from what I heard. From what I remember reading, it was the MTV Europe in Ireland, and basically MTV UK, which in Britain, in Northern Ireland, and I think Ireland, and then MTV Europe, which broadcasts basically all throughout a good part of Europe. I think they're all shutting down by the end of the calendar year.
Wow.
But MTV is still going to be up and running here in the US. But I remember, what's the bet? You forgot one more show where you were able to watch videos. You had to stay up at night to watch it. Friday night videos.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yep. Yeah, no doubt. But I'm saying, but that was just a thing we just look forward to watching. Like I said, I don't know if Gen Zers, if they have that same passion, even if they're looking online or YouTube or whatever. I don't know. You still have that sense of folks being in a room, especially when we're in college or whatnot. Like I said, there'd be a bunch of us in a room. We're just watching the music videos. That's like one of those. That's one of those pastimes that almost defines, how old you are, because we used to do that. It's like, when girls used to do double dutch back in the day, you know what time period those in. Like no girls do. What girls do you know still do double? And I know, in fact, you had this group. In fact, this is the second year I saw them. You actually have this. I think these deltas, these sorority, the deltas. They do, as a fundraiser, they do a double Dutch thing at these baseball games as a charity fundraiser. But all these women are like in their 40s and 50s. You know what I mean? So back in the day growing up, you had double Dutch tournaments. I mean, you had it was like a national thing. And the creativity. Yeah,
South America.
Yeah, it was such an amazing thing. And again, that kind of fell off. But what you guys just reminded me of is something, and Pete, we might want to have a show on this in the future. You talked about like MTV is going to be gone from Europe. One thing I've really been into as of late is there've been a lot of content channels that have been created about major companies that you don't see anymore. I mean, you're talking about companies that had billions. So I know this one guy, he did like Peloton, and it just seemed like it was not even like that, not that long ago. Peloton's in trouble, or they're almost out of business. Top Golf is almost out of business. What happened to Starbucks? It's like all these companies that were, again, these were multi-billion-dollar entities. They were ubiquitous. Under Armour's in trouble now. And
really? Under Armour?
Yeah. It's like their stock. I mean,
they don't have
stock
relationships.
It's like so sometimes it's about, I don't know. And the reason, if there was like a common thread that I might have seen through all of them, is that you get away from that which made you successful. You know what I mean? You had a brand, you had an identity, but then you wanted to get into this market, and you want to get into this one. You're trying to get ahead of the curve a little bit and see what trends are going. And then that doesn't necessarily pan out, and certainly I think the pandemic certainly had a lot to do with, a lot of that, those problems that, kind of developed. But it's just amazing to me how you've had these companies that, you kind of had your period where you were like rock solid, and then you lost it, either being too slow to embrace change, or you took on too much change that got away from your core business or philosophy. And I just found that so fascinating. And I was just getting hooked. I was watching, just all these videos, but it happens to even nation states like Japan. In the 80s, we thought Japan was going to take over the world. At one point, they had the top 10 largest banks in the world. And then they just kind of fell off. So it's just amazing to me how these institutions, these companies, these, branches, for some reason or another, bless you, for some reason or another, they're not able to have sustainability. And it just kind of gets you thinking about, it's like, wow, it's like, if those companies can fail, it's like, what then would be the impetus for someone, you have an idea, you want to get it going. Why is it that great or brand names that had such brand ID? How can these companies fall off? What are you guys' thoughts about that? About some of these brands, and sometimes you have to even bring to mind, like, either you didn't know they were in trouble, or you have to think about, I don't see them anymore. Like, what happened?
I'll give you an example, man.
Yeah.
Remember when we used to go and we used to be at school and we used to have to read books to get those little coupons to go to Pizza Hut?
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
And we used to take our little coupons and get our own personal pizza, and we used to go into Pizza Hut and sit down and eat our own pizza. And then we used to have these little red cups where you get your own drink or whatever, and you'll sit down in the family with your own personal pan pizza that you earned, and you get to drink from the fountain. You know what I'm saying? That was an experience. Well, let me ask you this. What is the experience that companies are giving people that's like that?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's the going out with the family. It's the earning something that you did. You see what I'm saying? It's the expectations of being rewarded for something, and then that being the end of the rainbow where you get to accomplish something. I think that is what we're missing from marketing today, is that what do people get at the end of their rainbow? as far as your product is concerned.
Yeah.
Even if you look at it, Pizza Hut no longer has any places where you can go in and sit down. It's
Right.
just like they stick it out the window,
Sure.
you stick your cash in or your debit card or whatever, your little Apple Pay, and
Mhm.
you get your pizza, and there's no experience. You see what
Mhm.
I'm saying? There's nothing that's tied to it.
Mhm.
So I'm asking you a question: why is it that we've gotten away from the experience that we provide our customers?
Mhm.
That is the reason why they're not lasting as long as these companies are not lasting as long as they used to.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, for me,
And they don't
I
want to
think the
prove.
biggest example of what you're saying is Starbucks. Like 80, look, call it bougie or whatnot. Like you always had the coffee cafes and whatnots, but Starbucks, you kind of had an experience. I thought it was ridiculous. Like, I'm not a huge coffee drinker, so I thought it'd be an asinine. You're paying $8-9 for a cup of coffee. I'm like, but again, it was a place, it was a hub for networking, for business, for, it was just that place for people to unwind before you went home. Like, people used to go to the bar, like in what's that, Cheers, right? Like, you would go to Cheers afterwards to get a beer or something. Well, I guess
Everybody
people
knows
got
your
maybe a little
name.
bit more health conscious or something. So it's like, I'll go to Starbucks instead and let me get my scone and coffee and let me just read the paper or whatnot, and then, be on my way, or something. You meet up people there. Like, it was an experience. But then I almost think they got a little too ambitious. Like, when you could get Starbucks in your Keurig cup, like, you can go down the aisle, you can get the I'm like, why do I have to then go to Starbucks to get that? I was willing to drive to Starbucks, maybe hang out for Starbucks for an hour or two to get my $8 cup of coffee. But if I could make the same coffee pretty much in my home, then it kind of, especially if you have all these brick and mortar stores, it kind of takes away from the experience. So it's almost like you're reaching for too much. You're spreading yourself almost too thin before, and then you realize it's like, oh, we got away from what made Starbucks.
See, Paul, I have a hard time believing Starbucks is in trouble because they
Yeah,
just
I'll be
opened like 3 stores in my town, brand new constructions.
Mhm.
So you
Well,
tell me they're struggling, but they keep opening more stores every time I see one.
But that happens though. I mean, if I was at a company, not so long, like, part of like, again, when I'm saying trouble, I'm not saying that they're going to go bankrupt like right away. I'm just saying, in terms of market share, when you start seeing percentage go down, when you see other competition going on, a lot of companies try to build their way out of it. Or maybe they may realize that, oh, we got away from what made us great, so let's get back to that. Let's build more stores or whatnot, and bring that experience back to people. But even the ones that you're building, I don't know if they're necessarily the social spots that they use. Like, most times than not, I don't see people in Starbucks anymore. I see the drive-through line. But as far as you
That's
go
true.
there, they had free Wi-Fi back when Wi-Fi was like a premium. Like, everyone has free Wi-Fi now. But when you used to be able to go to Starbucks and do work, like business work, for 2 or 3 hours, and they don't hassle you about leaving. That
Or
piece
college
of it, I
classes
think,
too.
yeah. I mean, that piece, I think, is missing. But now, if I see, I'm not saying Starbucks isn't making money, but I'm saying the experience, to, like Loss was saying, Starbucks was a happening. Again, it was kind of identified with being bumpy, upper class, kind of sophisticated or whatever, but it was something that people gravitated to. And I
I'll
don't
give you
see
another
people.
example. I'll give you another example. Remember when we were kids, we used to go to McDonald's, they had a playground. You'll be hard pressed to
That's
find a
right.
playground at McDonald's
Burger
now.
King too.
These
Burger
little
King as
kids,
well.
they don't ask to go to McDonald's anymore because there's nothing there for them.
Yeah.
Chicken
Yeah.
nuggets, and that's about it.
Yeah.
But at least when we came up with kids, we had slides, we had the playground, you know what I'm saying? All the little stuff
The
that
ball
you can go
pit,
in there and play
the
with.
cargo net.
It was a destination.
Yeah.
McDonald's was a destination. It was an
Well, you
experience.
changed how they look, right? Because they made it look like it was an amusement park. The red top of the store, and you went in there, but now
Ronald
it's
used to
like
sit
these
outside, wait on
round,
the bench.
dark, gray, square buildings. It's not like that sense of, yeah, we're going someplace fun.
It's not a happy place,
Yeah,
basically.
it's all corporate.
$30
And maybe that's the thing
cheeseburgers
too.
now,
Maybe people
it's
get,
like Five Guys.
yeah, maybe people they're
Mm.
getting too corporate. And maybe, again, and you always have that battle of, obviously, if you're public, you got boards, you got, people have ideas in terms of like, making money or what have you versus the creative. And for them, it's like, okay, if we got to cut costs here, there, whatever, let's just do it. And for them, it's just money on a ledger sheet. But the
Paul,
experience is gone.
From my understanding, McDonald's stopped putting their playgrounds because they got sued way too many times, and a lot of kids got hurt and stuff like that. That's what I heard.
At the playground anyway, at the regular playground, let alone McDonald's.
But
I think did happen. Like suing people,
That did happen. It also happened with Burger King because there are a couple of Burger Kings that I still see that used to have playgrounds. Like there's one Burger King I know of in particular. When I see it, in this one location, they used to have a big playground and everything else. Now what they did was they literally frosted the windows on the outside and they just use it for storage. And I think even before the shutdown, I remember going there a couple of times, taking my nieces and nephews there, and they would go in there, run around, have a little fun. I ordered, they'll be going there, running around, doing their thing. Food came out. Okay. They come back in, they eat, and then they back and play after they're done eating. So it was always, now it's just kind of ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just transactional. It's get your food and go. There's no, like I said, there's you don't have that sense of, hey, let's go to McDonald's or let's go somewhere to have a good time. Let's socialize. I think that human element is going. Even the whole idea of, welcome to McDonald's, may I help you? I mean, they got the kiosk now, so you just order your food at the kiosk, and you go up and you get your food and you go. It's not, you don't have that anymore. And that's I'm sure automation is probably taking, especially in the retail space. We know that automation.
I'll give you a great example, Paul.
Is taking that on.
Where I work, the employee cafeteria is starting beginning of the year is going to be cashless and checkout only. Of checkout. So we're eliminating the cashier position completely. So that's not even a position anymore.
Yeah.
So they, the cashiers are going to get laid off. Unfortunately, not if they're going, they will get laid off, and I can't transfer somewhere else because that's going across the board. So them going, kiosk, I think it's going to be across the board. You're going to see I give it 5 more years, and all these stores are going to be just cashless because Penny got rid of Penny. Think about what's next.
They stopped printing them a couple of days ago.
Yep.
Yeah. So I think I said it to my father years ago, and he argued with me, "Oh, we're always gonna have cash. We always need cash. We always need cash." But guess what? Cash was already going away. Except Comic-Con and maybe to the bar, I don't carry cash ever.
Paul, let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question. Is social media social anymore?
No.
Well, I would say this. I think as we led the show with, it can be, right? If you're willing to put in the time, because again, I think you can't build relationships, good ones, virtually. You know what I mean? The ones that last, the ones where, it has to come out of that space, at least to the point where you have each other's phone numbers. So I said, when me and Pete, when we started talking, whatever, he sent me his number right away, and we were kind of off the races, and we were either texting or talking several times a week before we even came up with the show and what was going to be about and whatnot. We meet every week and talking about, what kind of content that we're looking to produce. We try to have like a 4 to 8 week set of shows and whatnot. We talk about what went right, what went wrong. Again, the work has to continue. That's why I say, even in the dating space, all these social media platforms or dating platforms, all they give you is access. You still have to do the vetting. You still have to do the meeting. Yes. You have to invest. And especially if you know what you want, you have to be willing to put that time and effort in. I don't think that's changed. But somehow we thought that social media would be everything. You had a lot of people came crashing out. It's like, oh, I have 1,000 friends. I'm like, in life, if you have 2 or 3 friends, now I'm not saying buddies, you can have maybe a few dozen buddies. I'm talking about friends. Bible says a friend can be even closer than a brother. Like if you got 2 or 3 guys in your orbit that are ride or die for you, be there anywhere in the world for you or whatever, you're a blessed person.
Yeah.
But I think it gave you the illusion that, oh, I got all these friends who really, like me out there. And then you come crashing down, something happens or whatever. You realize how fleeting that is. So I don't think you're not changing human nature. But if the opportunity to meet and to break bread, like I said, when we were at Michelle and King last night, wonderful. We could have kept it. And if they didn't have to leave because, we had things to do, we could have been hanging out all night.
Oh, I can see that. Even if we didn't have the show last night, I would have stayed longer myself.
Yeah, it's just we had things to do, but it was like it was so natural in the conversation. It was exchange. They were interested in us, we were interested in them, and so yeah, it was definitely like, yeah, let's do this again. And I think those are things that, again, those are the best uses of it. So as long as you know what it's for and what it's not for. And I think certainly with young people, and especially for the Zers and the younger, we have to educate them on that. But even in real relationships, like, sororities and fraternities, that, I mean, I got my daughter, because my daughter's involved in that. That's not what you thought it was going to be cracked up to be either. Because you talk about the sisterhood or in the case of fraternities, the brotherhood or whatever, again, it's still going to boil down to maybe 2 or 3 people in your fraternity, sorority, whatever, that you really going to rock with. They're going to call you when stuff goes down. Everything else, yeah, you have your functions, you have your social gatherings, and you have all these things. But at the end of the day, the people who really care about you is going to be a small circle. And to expect more out of that, or to invest more time, even if you had a lot, how can you even invest that kind of time?
You can.
Like I'm married. Like my boys, I got boys I go back to college with 30 years ago. And we are close. Like at any point in time when we meet, we may meet up maybe once or twice a year. And what's good is because we pick up the conversation right where we left off last time. It's like it's no different.
No drop off, right?
No drop off. It's just like boom, we into it. Or if we get on the phone and we get into it, and my wife already knows who I'm talking to. They going at it again. It's just who we are. You know what I mean? We go hard in everything when it comes to conversation. Again, that piece doesn't change. And so again, the education, what we have to give people is, don't expect that. But even then, I said twice a year we may hook up. And nobody is jealous of the other. Like, I know you got your wife, you got your kids, you got your things that you got to be on. We don't get jealous of that. We like, go, nah, man, you need to handle your business.
Right. I remember when I used to do Amway, there was a speech that I listened to. It was called Find Your 4 Aces. And I took that and I put it into play. And I have 4 aces.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
My brother Andy, my cousin Tanya, my best friend Elisa, and my best friend Q.
Mm-hmm.
I lost one ace a couple years ago when he passed away, day after Christmas. And still to this day, it's tough. And I remember my brother, we were talking, and I was telling him what happened. And he told me the same thing, how he lost one of his aces.
Yeah.
And it's been almost 15 years. Big guys, tall, light-skinned, big guys, died young.
Mm-hmm.
And even though it's been 15 years since my brother lost his best friend, it still hurts to this day.
Yeah.
And even though a few years since I lost my best friend, it still hurts to this day thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to find people, and it's not always going to be people you grew up with. It's sometimes going to be people when you least expect it. My brother, of course, we grew up together. My cousin Tanya, she's only a few months younger than me, and she just celebrated her birthday. My best friend Elisa is someone I met at work. This was someone I wanted to date, but it never clicked. But we became the best of friends. I call her little sis. She's the godmother to three of my kids. That's how close we are. My friend Q was a chance encounter. We end up living in the same apartment building, and our friendship grew from there. We were just hanging out on the stoop in that building, and it grew into that friendship. And he's actually the godfather. He was supposed to be the godfather to my two youngest. Because I remember when my son was born, and I asked him, he was like, "I'll be honored." And then when Sinclair was born, and said he passed away after Sinclair was born, I didn't get the words out. He just said, "Say no more."
Yeah.
He already knew what I was about to ask him. He just said, "Say no more."
Yeah.
See,
and it's sometimes
I had a similar conversation. I had a similar conversation with my best friend 2 years ago, CQ. And he looked at me like, "Dude, you're acting like a woman." No, number one. But seriously, like, we don't think about it. Like, what would happen if you lost your partner in crime, your best friend? Because this is the one you're going to get in trouble with. This one, I met CQ a little when I was a little more my early 20s, but he still was my best friend no matter what. And it doesn't hit you till it actually happens. And it's something that nobody's prepared for, that, lose their best friend. And we're just having a conversation, and he like, his motto is, because he's been shot so many times, he went through war and all this stuff. If it's my time, it's my time. I lived a great life so far. But again, that's something me and him disagree on, if that makes sense. Unfortunately, he does not like having that conversation as much as I do, because I don't like having it either, but it needs to happen eventually. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
No, it does. It does.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what happened when I lost my friend Q. I remember it was the day after Christmas. I still remember like it was yesterday. It was the day after Christmas, and I remember looking at my phone. I getting pinged on Messenger, and it was another person that we used to roll with, Talib. And I picked up. I called him up on Messenger. I'm like, "Yo, Talib, what's up?" He's like, "Yo, you need to call D." His ex, Deanna. It's like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Bro, just call D. She got to tell you something." So, okay. So I called his ex-wife. My friend Q was married 3 times. So Deanna's his first ex-wife, Kira's his second ex-wife, his third wife, his current wife before he passed, is Jeff. So I called D. I'm like, "All right, D, what's going on?" And she was like, "Listen, Antoine, I gotta tell you this. And I felt it's only fair that I tell you this before you find out on social media." And I was like, "Yo, what's up? All right, tell me." And then that's what she told me. She's like, "He passed." I'm like, "Are you serious? When?" And she was like, "He passed away last night. Like, he was with his family, they were playing spades, and then he had a heart attack. He collapsed, had a heart attack. His sister-in-law she performed CPR, tried everything. They called the paramedics. They got him. They rushed him, and they just couldn't bring him back." And I was in shock, like, "Are you serious?" She was like, "Yeah, it's only fair I had to tell you instead of you finding out on social media." I found out from his wife, Jess, this morning. And when she was trying to figure out what to do, she was like, "Listen, I know to call. I'm going to call these individuals." And my friend Q, he didn't have me listed in his phone by my name. He had me listed as military man. That was how he had me listed in my phone. So when his wife Jess was going through his phone, and she's like, "Who's military man?" Deanna was like, "Oh, I already know who that is. I'm going to call him." So when she called me and broke the news to me, I was in like shock. Like, I took the call in a car, and that's how much shock I was in. Then I remember walking into the house. I went into my bedroom, and my wife asked what happened, and I said that was me. And then when I told her what happened, my wife had this look on her face of shock, like, "Oh my God." And then all of a sudden I broke down. I broke down in tears. And my wife just held me, and I just said, "I lost my best friend." Like, it hit me that hard. And Avery, even though she never met Q, they would talk. She remembers his voice and everything else. And when she heard what happened, she started to cry. And that was the first time she ever experienced that she never met him.
Yeah.
But the fact that she knew how close we were, it hurt her. She was like, it hurt her just as much as it hurt me.
Right.
And I remember after he passed, there were times when she would be frustrated, and she said, "I miss Uncle Q," and I'm like, "I miss him too, sweetheart." And it's sometimes tough. It really is sometimes tough thinking about it, but
yeah.
I haven't felt that much pain. I remember talking to my brother about it yesterday. My mom at my parents' house was my mom. Today's my mom's birthday, but we had a party for her yesterday.
Happy birthday.
And I remember when we were talking about
Yeah,
it,
my man.
and when I told him how much it hurt, I said, I haven't felt that pain since I lost my grandmother. And since we lost our grandmother, and my brother was like, yeah. Because prior to losing grandmother, we also lost our uncle. He was married to one of my mother's sisters, and he was like a second father. Imagine James Earl Jones with a French accent. So that's the best way I can describe him. And so my brother knew how so I was with my grandmother, uncle. And when losing my best friend like that, he understood, because I remember him telling me of when he lost his best friend and how much that still hurts him. So I tell people, when I tell people find your four aces, it comes from a speech I heard at the end one, but you keep them to your heart and you hold on to them, and you always find a way to stay in touch with them, because you don't want to say, I wish I got a chance to see them, or I got a chance to do this, I wish I got a chance to do that. Now, I haven't seen my friend Q in a long time, but the fact that we were able to call each other and stay on the phone for a good 2 or 3 hours and just talk, those are the things I miss the most.
Yeah, for sure.
And, and the one thing he always said before we ended our phone calls, one of the things he always say is, those are your baby, those are your kids, those are my babies. That's what you always say about my kids. Those are his babies.
Right.
And even before he ended the call, he would always say, kiss my babies for me.
Yep.
And I said, always. So
that's what's up.
I tell people, and this is a chance encounter, and it turned into this great friendship. And I just tell people, you're always going to meet your friends in the most unlikely places, whether it's in school, whether pledging a fraternity or sorority or fellowship, whether it's in the military, or just a chance encounter. If it gets a chance to grow into something that's great, build on it and cherish it. But that way, when you look back at it, you can always appreciate the fact that you got to know this person.
That's what's up. That's what's up. We're about to land this plane tonight again. So I want to thank Brother Lost and Antoine for being part of the conversation tonight. Again, we want to do this again once a month. Again, we want to have a call-in show so we can just chop it up. We just went into a lot of different directions tonight, just so we're just random. But again, we just love having a positive and healthy conversation, and we tend to bear our souls in this place. So again, Anton, thank you for sharing. Very sorry for the loss of your friend. But again, we're continuing to evolve the show. Like I said, we want interviews to appear. So Anton, we're definitely looking forward to having you on the show. So again, you're going to have the show and to talk about your life and your experiences, your background in the military and whatnot. We love hearing perspective from military guys in the show. Lost, we may have to extend an invitation to you too, if we want to go all the way back and who Lost in Translation is, because you obviously you have a very diverse background, your love of music, your passions and whatnot. It seems like anything that you put your hands to, you just have such talent in several areas, and the wisdom that you exude. And so certainly I think a lot of people would be interested where that came from, who is Lost, and where that comes from. So we want to have a show where again we talk about topics. So again, we got a lot of feedback on the Just War Theory show that we did a couple weeks ago. Very positive show, and so we'll continue to entertain topics that cross all cultural lines. We like engaging with very interesting people, learning about their backgrounds, and we just like to have some time just so we can kick it with the brothers and or whoever wants to come on and be part of the conversation. So again, we continue to evolve the space, but again, send your ideas. For those of you in the chat tonight, make sure you hit the like button before you leave the show. But again, send us your ideas. What would you like us to talk about in these spaces? We love hearing from you guys, and we want to make the show engaging. We appreciate everyone who's hung out with us tonight. Regulars who in the chat, Braxton the Steak Fiend, always a member. My man Eric has been in chat tonight. Marianne Constantine, thank you certainly for being here. And but again, I want to thank you guys for showing up tonight and just making this being part of this conversation. So Pete, any closing thoughts before we close the show?
I actually have 2 announcements to make really fast. So next week we're gonna have another guest called. His name is Frank Lee. He's an active Air Force member at this moment as we speak, and he does professional crossplay around the United States. I met him once personally. It was brief. We took a picture, bye kind of thing. But he will be on the show next week. I just have to confirm that and make sure. But at the moment, we're locked in with him. And this week on my side of the world, Father Costino is returning from a long space, and we're doing a show called AI versus Religion. So if you guys want to tune in, Lost, you're welcome. Antenna, you guys are always welcome to come in and join the conversation.
Absolutely. All right. So like I said, make sure not only you hit the like button here, but hop on over to Sparta HQ Network, hit the like button over there, share some love. But certainly for myself, for Lost, for Anton, and for
Oh yeah, Mr. Bannon, one more thing.
Yes, sir.
Oh yeah, Mr. Bannon, one more thing.
Yeah.
Since I'm taking a couple of days off from work and everything else, I am available for Wednesday. Just let me know so I can chime in and everything else. Yeah,
okay.
We'll talk hockey, of course.
Yes,
but also
we got to talk bigger.
Things.
We got to talk bigger though. Like I said, I see a channel coming. So again, I don't know too many brothers who are talking the NHL. So I'm just saying, we need to maybe get some one-on-one and talk about that, because like I said, you definitely have a niche and a knack for it. And I would love to see it. But yeah, you want to hop on Wednesday night show again, one-on-one sports show here on the Black Man Unfiltered Network, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Be part of the conversation. And so we love chopping up in the world of sports. Also, some major games this past Sunday, not expected, but all I know is the Steelers won, so I'm happy about that. But certainly for all of us on the show, thank you guys for being part of the conversation. For all of us, take care. God bless, and we will see you next time.
Good night.
Good night.